Hi guys. I had a video in mind that I did wanted to talk about the idea of exiting the whole fan art concept of things. And I originally I had a video in mind for just want to talk about in a structurally manner, but I feel like I'm just probably gonna skim it off my older notes because I had some ideas how I wanted to talk about it in my video log, but then there's some things that came in my mind um that kind of changed my opinion kind of a bit about it, but most likely, as for me, I prefer on my art not to do any fan art because that it feels like that I have my own structure of how and the way I create things. But if you are an artist that's doing fan art, I have nothing against it. Just you can go ahead and you can still pretty much make some money around left and right with it. I'm pretty sure there's other sites like Redbubble that's very flexible in certain licenses of fan art, as long as you know what you're doing and as long as you're playing it safe, how you know how to, if that's your what you're doing, then go ahead. I mean, there's nothing wrong if you're just expressing it just for fun too as well. But personally, for me, I moved away with the whole fan art scenario of me putting in some of my art just to have that because I did felt that was taking away my time of trying to explore some journeys in completing things of why I want to explore other things while not I don't want to feel like I was uninspired or anything, but I do know that it's always okay to use reference and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong if there's certain things that you like about a certain adjective or something in life or anything above all means. It could be a pieces of relics of art that you know that's done by someone else or something you want to reference to, but take pieces of it, then yeah, then by all means it's fine. But I don't completely want to Frankenstein it or anything. But it was nice to see I'm more of it interested in the philosophy behind of an art rather than taking to depict what is currently going on with a lot of people's interest in what they like to see now in today's world, especially when things are in the art markets evolving really fast with AI slop, of course, but and other people's taste is changing. I think we're in the middle of an extremely fast transition. We're just transitioning things to things, or to the point it's very hard to tell who you are marketing anymore, but it's much more easier to still market to a specific audience to what you like the most. It's always been fun like that, but but the concept of being broad to everyone is becoming literally impossible these days since now everyone's interest is going faster and faster and stuff. Because the concept paradigm that I've been watched with other certain similar video logs of artists, which they did talk about explaining about do what you love, which that is becoming much more of a rising common thing since it's going to be much more of a difference between human versus AI. That's pretty much in the terms of AI evolution. If you ever want to make fan art and stuff like that, AI would basically already has enough data point where how many times have people drawn the same thing, where it's to the point in my opinion, it is diminishing to see a purpose of a human just drawing something that already exists to no longer gain any satisfaction because something else can do it faster for you, which leads to being original and exploring what you like and love can make you better against the competition against AI, but I wouldn't disagree to stay away from AI completely, but I would say there's certain things and certain tools that does help you, but I don't believe in tools that with one click that solves everything, because if we were able to like solve everything with one click, then we can just solve world hunger or stop feeding the like certain population to make them feel like, oh, they don't need food anymore, they're immortal now or something like that, or cure cancer, kind of like that kind of thing. Because anything with one click solve solution can be a very a historical delusional kind of mindset, because it doesn't lead to the realistic solutions, because there's always going to be problems after one solution to another. But I did find the only time where when like fan art could be useful to use if you were using as if you want it as a practice tool to learn other shapes and styles of other people's work to understand how you as an artist could improve, which I did kind of do that kind of like commonly a lot in high school. If I could find any high school drawings that I have, I probably have some archive on the Instagram, but I'm not sure I have it on my phone anymore. But if I do, I can take a look to share, which I did have some things, but it was much more like a some of them were high school assignments, so it was just easier just to pace and just practice that way. But then at the end of the day, I really didn't have that much care enough to when it was like if it's like an assignment that was like structured to create a possible outcome, then my willingness to outdo myself or try to outdo what's currently out there would be like just mediocre in something, because I felt like I wasn't in control of the directives of my directions of what I wanted to make in real time. And it was just much more fun to do whatever you want in the first place. So, because when oh, my camera's moving. Ah, damn it! Come on, camera. So yeah, it's fun to do what you want in the first place, but to get when I did remember when I did get started with the other OC characters in mind as the my earliest ones, my much more older ones, that's probably like probably more than like a little bit 7 or 8 years old, but they did change over time as I like, redraw and learn new things about character designing and stuff. But they were based on certain appearances that I like in other characters, but then it did start off as like other things than that, because I did have one other character was inspired by like some kind of like form of stick figure mixed with other or with other characters that I saw in the past or creatures, and then I use that a gestural early stick concept kind of like to based on that, and then kind of when I was reimagining them, it took like a completely different 180 turn. But however, that was only just an appearance wise of other things when I was taking a look at other things. But I did quickly learn how to pair with other fantasy creatures and other creatures that you can basically you could find on the internet, and just like say if you want to reference in like an animal, you go ahead and but you could also reference like other artists that creates other things in the past, and then you can try to see, okay, I like this and we're like that. How could I just mix them together and combine them together? And which it led me to create something new. But that's how I did start out in the first place. But then after for a while just using certain references like that, I started to get some ideas to change my workflow a bit, how I updated my characters, because now I'm figuring out other ways to develop OCs without relying not relying too much on references completely, but gathering references that interest the theme and mood of how I want to tell my character's stories. Because before then, I was more focused on aesthetics, but then when I start getting involved with like writing for characters and writing for stories, which by the way, I do like to pick other skills than just the main skill I have, because I feel like I'm more of a generalist when it comes to roaming free of choosing how I want to create things. So of course I might pick up some skills that I do like in that. I'm not interested in trying to perfect this one particular skill, which, to be honest, in my opinion, I do think like the being a specialist is kind of like a dying trait, because the things are changing the way to much more you get to choose how you want to build your structural life of how you want to create and produce things, which just gives more freedom of thinking to access to how you want to make and distribute your own things. But in terms of creating characters around it, I did dabble into did some research about why people do this and do that, and personality traits and stuff. And I pretty much got a little bit more wild on focusing on the philosophy behind the character before making the character itself, because knowing the idea and the feeling of how this character is going to behave in the world can influence the direction of the aesthetics to be much more imagination over references, but references will be treated as secondary. And the method of the other way around is creating the aesthetics first and then worry about the story later. Depending on how you do your structure, it is fine, but some may be easier, maybe difficult to get to point A to point B, whatever path you choose. Just like, for example, you choose to do the core mechanics of things first, and then you work on the aesthetics. While some people just works on the aesthetics first, and then the mechanics. So it also depends, like how you think, but your thinking can also evolve and change things. So there's no perfect zero sum game of how and when you create to point A to point B. Just know that as long as you just got of the basics of fundamentals understanding, you can pretty much the advanced stuff you see online and stuff like that. That's much more of a free roaming thing. So it's almost like, in a way, it's like free play. So you understand the basics of like doing stuff, but then when you get to free play, you can basically do whatever you want, and then you can compound so many other things. I think just that a lot of people by default would just look for an exit that someone already made their own way of advancing stuff, and then they try to see if it can copy to emulate into work. It may work, but you won't get the full results because it's not it's not the original meaning behind it. And hey, at least if you ever want to come across the idea of creating your own original characters or anything that resolves the original story, which I do strongly feel that from more of the human side of things of art, originality is going to be favored more in the future than what's already made out there, regardless if it's fan art or not. But I do feel that an original IP which be much more valuable than the slop out there that's already existing, because there's not really a hypothetical ownership behind that. And if you do really want to own something and then use it to however you want to deem that's worth for your time, then originality can bring some higher pros to get started in doing. But it does take time for, depending how which certain areas how you want to learn originality, that's worth your time to invest into. Just like anything other else when you choose to do things in life. Alright, and I think this will be the end of my video log. I'm trying to keep it short as possible with some of my videos now, because I do feel that since if my audience is much more like for targeting for more of the um, adults that are like out there generally, then I do know that not many people would have time to watch like a full-on scale video, unless if it's like a full-on like I'm showing my work tutorial thing. Then that's kind of a different story because you can always pause and I put chapters in, and you can resume whatever you left off. But since it's just like a normal talk video and stuff, I think I'm gonna end it from there so I can leave the open-ended of the comments, like to say if anyone has their own opinions and point of views about why they like fan art, why they left fan art, or they just like being original in the first place. But no matter what you choose, if it helps you be somewhere that makes you feel happy, well, at least in a standpoint of what you want to make in life, because you only live once and stuff. But as long as you know what you want to do, then that's good enough. But hey, thanks for tuning in for a little bit, and I think I'll try to come up with something with next week, since I've been on my lawn project for like kind of revamping things for a whole month around February to have like a 3D model of my avatar, and then I also make some business cards at least too, so that's cool. Because when I was making my new business cards, I was trying to figure like as a leave behind something. So I kind of want to combine the concept of the business cards and leave behind together. So I made collectibles instead. So I got like, all right, I gotta stop this camera thing. This is wild. I just want to show something. It was like, oh nope, nope, nope. Okay, so I told it to not move ever again until maybe the next video. But yeah. Yeah, these are like my now. I do have like more arts than that. I kind of ended up reusing my channel banner because I was like, well, I did want to get back to on my main big project of working on the other game I have in mind as an indie, and then eventually it means a few weeks from now I think I'm gonna go back into my comic art that I was working on then, because I did spend time several months back to make some script drafts and stuff, and wanted to make some concept arts next, so that's probably the next thing to do. I think I'll do more. It's going to be most likely black and white just to save some time, though. So, yeah, these are new and stuff like that. I got different art in here. This is the old one, though. It's basically the same one-dimensional, so now I simplified the backside, too, as well. So now it's just nothing but a QR, so... But hey, if you're looking for interested in any of the art designs I have, they're located in a Redbubble, so there'll be a link description down below. You can just tap on my social links, and you can view more for anything if you have some of the money and time to take a look and buy. I try to at least keep it enough that's like fair enough, but also fair enough to me as well, because I do know that Redbubble likes to I mean, they have like certain things, but but hey, that's what I can do for now. But hopefully in the future, I find like a better way to distribute my items soon. But anywho, thank you all for watching, and peace.